Heather, something happened at my buddy Joe's Christmas party.
Let me guess. You told old college stories, shared inside jokes from at least 2 decades ago, and then relied on your very kind wives to chauffeur your elderly selves home.
You're so callow.
But am I wrong?
You're completely wrong.
Am I?
Well, except for the stories, the jokes. Katie did drive me home.
Yeah, so do you care to retract your callow statement?
Hey, you're a party pooper. If you're going to be like that, I'm not going to share this bottle of Jack Daniel's single barrel proof that Joe gave us.
I'm sure it was a wonderful party.
Now you're changing your tune. So what's up, Heather?
What's up, B?
Well, tonight we're going to dive in the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. But before we do, let's welcome our viewers. So, welcome to Tortured Bourbon. We're glad you stopped by. Heather does this show because she's a millennial. She needs your approval, so hit the like and subscribe button.
B does this show because it's cheaper than therapy, so please help him out. Connect with us on socials and surround him with your love and support. He really needs it.
She tells me we like each other.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that anytime soon.
Fair. Anyways, shout out to my buddy Joe for this bottle of Jack. Look, if you're in the Wake County area in North Carolina and you need a home inspector, check out Realm Inspections. They're 5-star rated, and Joe personally will oversee your inspection. If you're interested, the info is in the description below.
B, you did that really well. Take note, if you have a business and want to sponsor us, B could do that same thing for you.
We could.
On another episode.
Our sponsorship is literally just give us a bottle of booze.
Yeah. Speaking of, on to the bourbon. Jack Daniel's calls this their first cask-strength offering, describing it as robust but surprisingly smooth.
Now, their mash bill is 80% corn, 12% rye, and 8% malted barley, so it's pretty traditional mash bill.
As a reminder, Tennessee whiskeys meet the criteria to be called bourbon, but then they take an extra step, the Lincoln County process. For Jack Daniel's, that means that the whiskey drips through 10-foot vats, that's huge, of charcoal made from maple wood that has been soaked in 140 proof Jack Daniel's whiskey.
Well, they make it charcoal because they light that bad boy on fire.
Oh, I bet that's highly flammable.
Yeah.
This process takes 6 whole days before the whiskey goes into new charred oak barrels and then ages for 4 to 7 years.
And look, if you missed it, 6 months ago, our first show, we did an undertaking of comparing Jack Daniel's to Uncle Nearest and did the entire history of both.
Apparently, we thought people would want to listen to us talk for over an hour.
There's tons of beautiful B-roll. No, it's a great history lesson.
We could have made 3 episodes out of that
Could have
one
made a series.
episode.
But if you're interested, the link's right here. Just fast forward some.
If you have an hour and a half to spare and want to go watch it, give it a try. It is a good episode.
But we covered everything from Jack and Coke, slavery, the civil process of the South.
Jack Daniel's entire childhood.
Yeah, I mean, Uncle Nearest, his daughter, his granddaughter, his great-granddaughter.
We went all the way through the literal history of whiskey.
We did. I mean,
the Lincoln County process.
We could have just shut the show down right there. We're done. Take the thing off the wall.
We have content for the next 7 years. Here you go.
Why did we even bother?
Anyway.
Because we didn't just start off with, hey, here's some whiskey, let's taste it. No, let's make a statement of historical fact. Okay, so just to pull the...
You should have known we were nerds then.
Yeah, so to pull the curtain back here just a little bit.
Okay, the wizard.
Have you seen Wicked? It's good.
It's excellent. We
did taste this prior to recording. And what we found was that we had to let this open up.
This needs
it's
to
130 proof. It's 130 proof. In fact, it's 132.4 proof. Now,
I think once you get to 130, the 2.4 doesn't make much difference.
Yeah. Now, I will say that one of the things that disappoints me on the labeling, because we know I'm a nerd, is that it's a single barrel and it's barrel strength, and they tell you when it was bottled. What they don't give you is the age statement.
Yeah.
Now, the only reason I'm curious about the age statement is what we get when we taste this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But what we did find is that if you, for us, pour it straight out of that bottle and you pour it into this this glass.
And taste it immediately.
For us, yeah, it was... We probably wouldn't...
I threw the word acetone around.
Yeah. But then we sat here for a few minutes and we told some dirty jokes. And you made fun of me. And we...
Typical.
And we spun this thing. And we let it breathe.
Yeah.
Because we started thinking, well, maybe this is like a big Bordeaux, right?
Yeah.
And let's
it's supposed to be robust.
yeah, it's supposed to be robust. We did this to it. Mm-hmm. So we spun Joe's bourbon. It's Tennessee whiskey. And it's pretty.
Still spinning it.
It's pretty.
It is pretty. And
Now, I will say this, it's very pretty. And up front on me and Jack Daniels, Jack Daniels was my entry bourbon, entry whiskey.
like a lot of people.
Yeah, and it was in a Coke. It's a Cuba Libre, and it makes a great Cuba Libre.
If you want to hear about that ad nauseum, go see our first episode.
They're hearing about it right now. But Jack is not my go-to.
No.
It's not that I don't respect Jack.
It's not either of our go-to.
80 proof is not my thing.
It's also just, it's not my preferred flavor profile. It's fine.
And but it's very smooth.
We enjoyed...
Charcoal filtered, it's smooth.
After we let it sit for a while, the nose changed, the palate changed. When I first smelled it right out of the bottle, I said, this smells like fingernail polish remover.
Now, there's acetone. It has an acetone
and
smell.
It does, and it still does.
There's no way to deny it. You're not in the market for an heavy alcohol. This might not be
This is probably not your thing.
Your bag of rocks.
No. That being said, as we let it sit, some other smells and flavors opened up.
So you start to get some bananas Foster. You start to get some caramelized sugar. Mm-hmm. You start to get this burnt wood smell.
I definitely, and that's strong to me. That burnt wood smell, and I think that's why you got bananas Foster, because it has a little bit of banana, but a little bit of that smoky burnt smell.
No, it does not have. I don't want to mistake people. It does not have mezcal smoke.
No.
This has like
the fire pit smell.
Pit smell.
Smells like a fire pit. Yeah. I get a little sweetness up front, and I get some nuttiness in the back end.
So it has changed.
Welcome to 132 proof.
Yeah, but it's now it has changed over the course of the 15 minutes we've been spinning this, because I was. It's not my favorite.
I was underwhelmed.
I was underwhelmed, but now that it has sat and it has breathed, it is a little more complex.
It is, and it has a very unusual flavor profile.
It does.
I don't mean that negatively.
No. And I'm going to use the word maple, but I want to be very careful, because we've had some Blue Run and some others where when we tasted it, we thought pancakes, all right? I don't want to take anyone down a road to think this is pancakes. This is not pancakes, but it does give me thoughts of maple.
Yeah, and it has that coating, that mouthfeel.
Yes.
And I do get where you're coming from with the maple. It has that sweetness. But I do get nuttiness on the back end.
I do. I'm saying it's an earthy sweet. Mm-hmm. It's a maple sweet. It's a burnt sweet.
Things can naturally have sweetness without added sugar. So,
yes.
Like a peanut has a little bit of a natural sweetness
to it. And there's oak on the end of this. There's oak.
Yeah, there is definitely oak.
Which is the only thing, because in our nerdiness, I would love to know the age statement. So we could say, okay, so where do we think it's coming from? And obviously this was a 80% corn.
Yeah, it drinks like 132 proof. So if you aren't a high proof person, this is not going to be your cup of tea.
I think it smells definitely like 130 proof.
Yeah, and I think it does. It tastes like it too.
It tastes higher than a bottle and bond. Mm-hmm. It drinks higher than a bottle and bond.
It's got some pepper. I have enjoyed it the longer it has set.
Pepper's not overwhelming.
No, I wouldn't say it's overwhelming.
The longer it sits, the better it gets.
Mm-hmm. That's a really
Puts the
nice
lotion on its skin. Or else it gets the hose again. Joe will appreciate that. It's changing.
Yeah, it is changing.
That's impressive.
So it comes in about $60, $65, right?
So I'll tell you what this is. This bottle is a gift. Look at it. Look at how it's designed. Look at the cork. Mm-hmm. Joe, you're the man. Because this is a gift. Because this is what you give to a bourbon drinker. Mm-hmm. Don't give someone 130 proof that's not a bourbon drinker.
No.
You know, this is
not a casual.
This is not safe, like Buffalo Trace or Jefferson's Reserve.
Right.
This is not safe. This is not Elijah Craig. This is, hey buddy, or budette, can be female. Saw this at the store. You know, we have a connection with Jack Daniels. This is something they're doing a little different. We like a lot of the cask-strength stuff. Mm-hmm. We're going to be sitting around talking. Let's crack this together. Let's swirl it. Let's cognac
Let's
it.
let it breathe. Let's let it sit for a little while.
Let's sit and let's chat.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yeah.
This is, for me, this is not, I'm going to go buy it necessarily for myself.
Right.
But if you told me I was going to a buddy's house.
And we were going to taste it and talk about it. I'd be in.
So I think it has a place.
I think so too.
I also think that it's interesting that Jack Daniel's has been around since time surpassed. And this is their first
Time immemorial.
single barrel proof. Mm-hmm. So is Jack trying to slowly open a door to a different type of bourbon drinker or whiskey drinker than they've had before?
I think that is 100% what it is. We've been talking about a lot of Sazerac products lately. They kind of do things a little differently in that, their go-to, their main flashy thing that they advertise is not their lower end stuff.
No.
Whereas Jack Daniel's, their bread and butter is that black label.
It's black label Jack Daniel's at $19.99.
They know it's a well, and they're fine with that.
Yeah.
They had to start doing some things that appealed to, like you said, that kind of, whether you're really a higher end drinker or you just perceive yourself that way, they had to do something that people felt fancy about, because some people lean really hard into the pretentiousness of bourbon.
You think?
That's kind of the point.
I think it has its place. It's tough for me to rate because it's not an everyday sipper.
No.
It ain't piddling.
I like your point.
It ain't bless your heart. It's unique.
I like your point about it being a conversation piece.
Yeah.
I think that was a very good point because it's not an everyday sipper. It's not something that I would come home and have every other day.
No one makes this bottle not to sit specifically where people will see it.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
every part of it is fancier than their regular bottling.
Yeah, they've kept kind of a square look to it to akin yourself to Jack Daniel's.
This almost evokes more of a decanter.
It absolutely looks like a decanter. If you took the label off, it is a decanter.
It's a decanter.
It's a decanter.
So that means it must be fancy, right?
Absolutely.
Which means you should definitely pay more for it.
You should.
Absolutely. They know what they're doing.
With no age statement.
With no age statement. So this is a hard one to rank because it's not one I'm going to reach for often. I don't know. Where are you going to rank it?
It's a beautiful gift.
Like you said, it's not piddling or bless your heart.
No.
But it's not hush your mouth, and it's not an everyday sipper.
Oh, let's go drink this by the fire pit. I bet we're going to enjoy it. That's what I'll tell you. It's a fire pit.
It's a fire pit drinker.
It's a fire pit
drinker.
We're just inventing stuff here today, folks. This is the fire pit.
It is. Bust this out
with your buddies
who
or
knows
buddettes
bourbon
at the fire pit
and say, hey, like you believe, Jack Daniel's. Let's try this one. See what you think about it.
Here's my decanter.
So we're gonna rank it fire pit.
Fire pit.
And because it's gonna warm you up.
We didn't plan that. That's amazing.
I'm just that brilliant, Sometimes I can't even help myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, Heather, like and subscribe. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.